Welcome back to our Subaru engine build series presented by Valvoline. Today, we start assembling the engine here with our main man, Dove. As you guys will recall from part 1 of this build series, we are working with a version 7 2-liter JDM motor. So this is all the freshness from Japan right here.
EJ207.
EJ207. That's what these Subaru guys call it. I'm learning as we go here, Dove. And we are actually changing it from a 2-liter to what's effectively going to be 2.2 liters.
Close to it.
By going with K1 Technologies stroker crank and rods.
Mm-hmm.
And where do we start with this whole deal, Dove? Do we start with the crank and rods, I guess?
Yeah, we're going to start with the crank and rods, do some measurements, make
Okay.
sure everything's good, and then attach the rods to the crankshaft.
Okay, Dove, where do we start? What's step 1 here?
Pull the caps and separate the rods from the caps. So just loosen off the bolts and then pull the cap off so you end up with a...
Oh, completely
scenario.
separated? Okay.
Yeah, 100% separated.
Okay. Maybe before I do that, I'll quickly explain to you guys that these are our K1 Technology H-beam rods. They are made of 4340 billet, very strong design, and built to very tight tolerances. They come with ARP 2000 spec
2000,
fasteners,
yeah.
Very strong fasteners. Come with a high quality bronze bushing. Here's a quick visual on the difference between the stock rod and these H-beam rods from K1 Technologies, which I can tell you are significantly lighter than the stock rod. And as you can see, it's also quite a bit beefier sort of through this portion of the beam. What else do I need to tell them, Dove?
No, that's about it.
Ready to take some
Yeah,
jam?
it's ready
Bolt
to
them on
make
there?
some power, yeah.
All right, take those apart.
Most definitely.
And then what?
So once you have that apart, we're going to clean up the inside.
Okay.
Just going to take this, clean up this surface.
Yeah.
So when we drop the bearing in, there's no dust, there's not,
No debris in there.
No debris in there.
Okay, this side
We'll
too,
do
I
it to the
assume.
other side, yeah. So this is clean now. And then you take your bearing, which you want to clean the back side of any surfaces that are touching each other.
Okay.
You just want to make sure that they're super clean. You don't want to clean the front side of this bearing because it's got some special coating on it that you don't want to wipe off for initial start.
So we're using a
ACL race bearing.
ACL race bearing.
Yeah.
This is a OE spec bearing, or is this a
No, it's
performance
OE.
aftermarket?
It's a performance aftermarket. They make like an OE one. This is a race engine bearing.
A race bearing,
Yeah, it's
okay.
a race series. So it's got little tang marks there.
Yeah.
So that's where the tang and the bearing will meet up to. Then you just put it in flush like that.
Before Dove installs the rods on our K1 Technologies crankshaft here, I'm going to give you a quick comparison of this 79 mil
Correct.
crank, and this is the 2-liter 75 mil crank.
Correct.
So as you can see, the K1 crank has these like knife-edged counterweights that are both thinner and have this sort of slimmed profile. What's that about?
It's just good for flicking oil. Like oil comes off of it easier.
And I guess also some weight reduction?
Definitely. If you've picked up both, you'll see.
This one's pretty light. Oh, wow. That's like 3-4 pounds heavier.
For
It's
sure.
a lot heavier.
Yeah.
So we're saving weight, which is always a good thing with rotating parts.
For sure.
Free up some power. And
That one's nitrated.
oh, this one's nitrated as well, which makes the bearing surfaces more durable.
Mm-hmm.
And they also say that it has what they call straight oiling passages, which I assume just means the oil flows on a straighter path through these passages, I suppose.
It's probably zigzaggy in here. Judging by the way these have cut, it looks like this journal points right out to this one. And I'll do the same just so it...
Feeds the oil more directly.
Yeah.
Nice, okay.
It's now time to install the rods onto the crankshaft.
Okay.
Because Subarus are silly and you can't put the pistons on and then install the rod.
Yeah, I'm used
after.
to seeing inline motors where things go in a
Exactly.
different sequence.
Yeah.
And what about bearing clearances and all that?
So this has already been to the machine shop. He's taken measurements on the crankshaft, took the measurements here at the bearings, and it's all to standard specification.
Okay.
We didn't actually need to change anything. Everything measured up properly right from the get-go.
So they're just ready to bolt right on?
Yeah,
there.
using the standard ACL bearings, everything works out perfect.
Okay, now what if we were starting with, say, a used crank, rebuilding a motor? We would have to
Yeah.
measure everything out?
Yeah, definitely. If you're using like a used crankshaft, you're going to have to take it to somebody that knows how to machine or measure crankshafts correctly. And then, depending on how much wear is on the journal, possibly machine it down. And so that's when you'd be changing the bearing out. So if you, take 10 thou off the journal here, then you get a bearing that's 10 thou larger.
Gotcha.
And
To keep your clearances within spec.
Yeah, you got to have all the clearances.
Gotcha. Okay. Send it, buddy. Let's bolt these
All right.
puppies up.
All right. So what I'm going to do is, first, what I like to do when I install these is the logo.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what brand. I always like to put to the front of the engine. So this is the front side,
Okay.
crank side. So I always put all the logos facing the same direction.
A little assembly lube.
A lot of assembly lube.
A lot of assembly lube. Okay.
Yeah. And then, like I said, have the logo facing forward.
Okay.
Slide that guy in there like that. We got to keep the tangs lined up. So
Yes.
that goes on like that. Just kind of clip it on the dowels.
Oh, what is this stuff?
This came with the rods. It's anti-scoring extreme pressure lube, number 3.
Number 3. I would have gone with number 2 myself, but
Yeah.
apparently
Number 3 is what K1 wants you to use.
fair.
So we'll cut the corner off of this.
And this goes on the rod bolts?
This goes on the threads of the rod bolts.
Okay.
This is all in the instructions for the rods. And then you put it on the back side of the hex where it meets up against the rod. So
Okay.
as you're torquing, it has a nice smooth surface
Gotcha.
to spin on.
So it's time to start tightening down the fasteners?
Yeah, we'll just wind them in by hand, and then we'll use a little ratchet to draw the two caps together. And then once it bottoms out, like
They can't
nothing,
go anywhere.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can see that it's drawn together.
Yeah.
I'll stop there, and then we'll get the torque wrench.
Set it to?
25 foot-pounds to start.
Okay.
So we're going to get all these to 25 foot-pounds.
Okay.
And then I think the next step was, 55 degrees.
Okay, Dove has switched the torque wrench to angle, and now it's time to set it to 55 degrees.
55 degrees.
Let's do it. You make it?
56.
Ooh, you blew it, buddy. You blew
Yeah.
it. I think
Which translated to about 65 foot-pounds.
Okay, interesting to know that. We are ready to install the crank and rods in the case half here. But before we do that, we should explain that it went out to the machine shop where you had it. What exactly did they do?
It was bored 20 over, so it was stock bore size. We bored it 20 over to the exact numbers that JE wanted for piston to wall clearance. Got the 45-degree crosshatch and all the bores, and cleaned and everything. Obviously, if you remember, we took this thing apart.
Yes.
It was filthy.
It was filthy. As a matter of fact, why don't we jump to some footage of all that being done right now? All right, Dove, we're at the machine shop. Some things have already been done, and some more things are about to be done. Can you kind of run us through what's going on?
Yeah, so this block's getting bored out 20 over, basically.
Okay.
It's been put into this machine. The majority of the cutting was done last night.
Okay.
The block's been sitting here overnight, normalizing, adjusting the temperature.
Okay.
And then we're just going to go in and take the last couple thou out and make sure the cross hatching of the cylinders are all beautiful.
So that was the final hone, obviously. It was just a quick pass to put the cross hatching in for...
Yeah, it's, like Dave was saying, is a couple tenths.
Right.
It's taken out in that quick little pass. And now the cylinder has all the nice cross hatching in it.
And that gauge he was using was just to check
Bore gauge.
bore trueness?
Yeah, to make sure that we have the proper measurement for the piston. And that is true from the top of the cylinder to the very bottom of the cylinder. So you measure in 3 different places.
Okay. Time for a bath, and then back to NV we go.
Yep.
We should also mention this was basically hot tanked at the machine shop as well, so
Yeah.
it's looking sparkly clean now.
Hot tank, jet washed, everything to get all the old crud out of it.
And now you're just going to clean up the bearing surfaces, I guess?
Yeah, so like now the next few steps are clean all the bearing surfaces, install all the bearing shells on this side.
Bearings are in and lubed. Looks like it's time for the old silicone treatment.
Yeah, got my caulking gun here, some silicone, and a road map.
Yeah, that looks pretty involved.
Yeah, there is a detailed route to the silicone that has to go around this case half. And if you don't get it the right way, it will forever leak.
The action's heating up here because this stuff hardens pretty quickly. So Nam's jumping in here, putting in all the O-rings for the, I guess these are oil passages now?
That's for the coolant. And
Coolant?
This is for the oil.
So orange is coolant and black is oil? Is that how they color coded it?
Yep.
Look at me, I figured it out. Dove is hustling over there, cleaning up the other side of the bearings. And then we'll join the two halves of the case together. I'm just gonna stay out of the way here, everybody, but As you can see, they're trying to make the love connection. Tapping the top half down on the dowels. How's it looking, Dove?
Pretty good.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
The old dead blow hammer trick. Just putting in the case bolts now.
Yeah, so all the case bolts are going in. Spin them in all by hand.
Yeah.
Like this. We have a couple of them on the inside here already, hand tight to hold everything together.
Okay.
So we can get the bolts in from both sides because bolts come from either direction.
Both ways, okay.
Yeah.
Time to torque down the case bolts. What's your sequence here, Nam?
So we got to follow the sequence on the left side here. We got to start on the left side, and then on the right side for all the 12-point case bolts that are in the middle, and ones on the side, and then we go to the outer bolts.
And is it a staged torque sequence, so like 7, then 13?
Yeah, so we're going to start off with 7, and then 13, and then we'll go to the second page here where it says 29, and then the outer bolts actually go to about 18, and the bottom one goes to 5 foot-pounds. Alright, so for on this side, we're doing A and C 90 degrees, and B and D to 29.5 foot-pounds. So this is A. B. C. And D.
Time for the final torque step in the sequence here. Nam starting with the that A bolt to 90 degrees. Moving on to torquing down some of the smaller case bolts now. This whole process is obviously quite involved. NEM is carefully following the factory service manual, so if you're attempting to do this job yourself, please go and find the factory service manual and follow these steps, because it's critical to hold this thing together.
Alright, so we're going to start in the middle here and work our way to the back and to the front, and sort of a bit of a circular motion, and then all the way down to the last bolt at the bottom of the engine here.
Now that NAM has stepped in and torqued everything down here, we're ready for pistons?
Yes.
And why did NAM do the torquing, Dove? I don't understand.
It's just the process that we have. I do the crank and the bearings. He torques everything together.
Yeah.
Kind of double checks everything that
Yeah.
I've done. And then I'll put the pistons in, do all the ring filings and everything. And then he'll do the final assembly of the heads and everything. So,
Really?
Yeah.
It's just what works.
10 years we've been doing it like that and had good luck.
That is a wrap on installing the crankshaft and rods in this EJ20. In the next episode, Dove is going to show us how to install the pistons and finish assembling the short block.
Yep.
So thank you, NV Auto, for all your help with this. It's exciting seeing it come together, and thank you, Valvoline, for making it all possible. As a matter of fact, head on over to teamvalvoline.com if you'd like more technical content, including some videos from Pete and I. So go check that out if you get a chance. Give us a thumbs up for more EJ20 engine building. Hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss the next episode. And be sure to check out speedacademy.shop for swag or even some Go Fast parts.
That's good.
Just, you can go back, you can just go, just easy. Just easy back and forth.